Hi, I'm Amanda Jones, and this is the fifth video in a series of videos about fractions. And in this one, we're going to look at division of fractions. Probably one of the most conceptually difficult concepts in fractions. I'm using Polypad, which is a site from math-a-gon, and it is free and you can use it yourself as well. And I'm modeling these fractions with fraction circles. So with division, we're cutting into parts, okay? We're trying to figure out how many of one thing is in the other, okay? We're dividing it by that value, figuring out how many, cutting it into that many pieces, okay? So in this case, we're taking 1/2 and we're dividing it by 2/5. So another way to ask this question is how many 2/5 fit into 1/2? And so I'm going to model this. I've got 1/2 here. I'm going to go ahead and model 2/5 as well so that we can just visually look at it alongside of the 1/2. And I can see here that if I kind of orient these the same, that I'm going to get at least one of these, right? One of these 2/5 is going to fit into the 1/2. But then how am I going to talk about that little orange piece that's not getting covered up? And how much of that is in that 1/5 piece, okay? So I'm going to split this. I'm going to go ahead and write this 1 first of all. I'm going to use a mixed number for my answer here. It's going to be 1, and then there's going to be something else. It's going to be, we see that 1, but how do I represent that other little piece? The first thing I'm going to do to kind of show that is I'm going to get 1/2 into to where that little piece is just a sliver, okay? So that it's named. So I'm going to just rename. And so now I can kind of see that I'm kind of getting there, but I'm not there yet. And then there I am. So let me put this one on top. So now you can see that that sliver has a name, like I'm able to pinpoint what it is. Okay, so I just hit rename until I got there. Well, it's not 1 1/10 because 1/10 is oriented towards the whole, okay? But I want to know this 1/10, what piece is it of the 2/5, okay? How much of it is in the 2/5? And so in other words, I'm going to get this into tenths, and I can see that it is a quarter of the 2/5. And so my answer here is 1 1/4. That's really difficult to see, so I'm going to kind of explain it one more time. All right. And the reason why, I would say this again, the reason why it's a quarter is because this 1/10 is a quarter of the 2/5. Okay, so again, back to that. Get back to my half. Okay. And back to my 2/5. So here's my half and my 2/5. You can see that it fits in once. Okay, so 1 of that 2/5 goes into a half. And then how much of the 2/5 is right here? That little sliver. So again, like I got down to figuring out what that little sliver was, oriented towards the whole. Okay, again, it snaps through so you can see that that sliver is named the 1/10. And then I'm comparing that 1/10 back to here to figure out how much of it is the 1/5. What fraction of 2/5 is 1/10? And that's how I say my answer here. So again, I renamed these 2/10 to see that it took 4 of these tenths to complete the 2/5, and so therefore it's 1/4 of the 2/5. All right. Another way that you can think about division is that it is the opposite operation of multiplication. And so if you are dividing by 2/5, it is the same as multiplying by 5/2. So it's kind of similar to addition and subtraction. They're opposite operations. So subtracting 2 add 2 back to 0, or subtracting 2 is the same as adding a negative 2, a decrease of 2. And so that's how multiplication and division work together as well. Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. Okay, that hopefully makes sense. If I'm taking 8 and I'm dividing it into 2, I get 4. If I'm taking 8 and I'm multiplying it by 1/2, I get 4. Those are the same. And because they're those inverse operations, they undo each other. And so therefore, you can kind of use them in an opposite way. And so that's why in division of fractions, we can multiply by the reciprocal. So I can also look at this as 1/2 times 5/2. And then if you want to see more multiplication examples, I have a video on that, but I'm also going to show you here that I am taking 1/2 of 5/2. So I'm going to start with 5/2 and model half of it. Okay, so 5/2 would be 5 of these. So I'm going to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get these out of the way. Okay, so here's 5/2, and I want to take half of them. So I want to cut these into half. I want to take half of them. All right, we can see that there's going to be 2 halves on either side. There's going to be a hole on either side. So I'm going to show that and merge these. Okay, so there you can see that half. There's going to be 1. And then this, in order to half it, I've got to split it. So I will rename it and split it. When I renamed it, it went right into 2 pieces. So I didn't have to continue to renaming it to get 2 pieces. But look what I've got on each side. I've got 1 1/4, because this can be simplified to 1. And so I've got 1 1/4. Or I've got 5 quarters if you would rather use an improper fraction here. So hopefully that helps see the relationship of these. You probably need to do a whole lot more examples to really see these. It is conceptually a little bit hard to wrap your brain around, but hopefully the visual helps. Thanks.